Welcome to the Growth, Grace, and Prosperity Podcast. Join Stewart Heath for down-to-earth conversations with top professionals, entrepreneurs, and leaders who have a story to tell. Let's get rolling.
Hello, everyone. This is Stewart Heath, CEO and founder of Harvard Grace Capital, with another episode of the Growth, Grace, and Prosperity Podcast. Thank you for joining us today. We have a fabulous guest for you to glean some wisdom from. His name is Jeff Dobyns, and he hails from Franklin, Tennessee. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, you're welcome, Stuart. Thanks for having me.
So as we were talking before we started the camera rolling, we're going to jump into our regular questions. And I always like to say, most people who are watching notice that I am interviewing only people of a certain age, and so that would be our age group. So people who've been around the block and had a few ups and downs in life, and that's where we're really wanting to glean the wisdom from. So again, thank you for taking your time, Jeff. When you think back on your career, are there any moments that you would say that were game changers? Maybe you didn't see it coming. It changed you to go this direction rather than the direction you thought you were going to. So share with us if you would.
Game changers. I feel like I've had a few of them, but I think moving down to Nashville. So in 2002, so 22 years ago, I moved to Nashville in a pickup truck, really with a dream to start an investment company. And I considered doing that in Ohio, which is where I'd been and had been building a practice. But there was an opportunity to partner with a firm here in Nashville that had been around for 100 years or longer. So to me, and I've been thinking about your question, Stuart, of collaboration has always been something meaningful to me. I like to work with others. I like to be mentored, and I like to mentor others. So I guess what I would say is I wanted to try to do something with the collaboration of some other people in that group that I really vetted and felt like would be great partners. Happened to be here in Nashville, so that caused a move. And I'm thankful that Nashville was where I moved. It's been a great place and a great place to launch a business and a great place to raise a family. So
how long were you in Ohio?
25 years. So I was born and raised there.
Oh, wow. So that must have been a hard move.
It was. There's an old Zig Ziglar book I remember reading about how, though, so many people, when they did a study, were successful when they moved out of state. And then the question was like, why is that the case? And there was something, I think, in your spirit that knows, like, when you move away, you've got to kind of lay it all on the line and kind of, you're not distracted. So at times I'm sad that I'm not with family and friends and realize that you are far away from where you grew up. At the same time, it was kind of an opportunity to really just to buckle down and to work hard and to realize I had to burn the bridges and burn the ships in order to make it happen.
Yeah, the burning the bridge commitment.
Yeah.
Did you have kids at home when y'all moved?
I did not. Nope. I was single, and I remember even saying, this is another example of what I would not do. But I can remember telling my family and friends, I'm coming to Nashville to work. I've got plenty of friends back at home, and I'm just going to come here and work. And not good advice. I wish somebody would have said, hey, Jeff, you're going to need some community, and really to be intentional about that. So probably had a decade of having family and friends and deep community back home, but not really spending the time to make it here because I would say I was here to work and not necessarily to make a bunch of friends. So that was a bad suggestion on my part to operate that way.
All of our ideas are not good.
I told you I've got lots of missteps.
We all do. So speaking of missteps, everybody hits bumps in the road along the way in their career, sometimes more than one. Would you mind sharing one of the bumps that you hit in the road and how you were able to work through it?
Yeah. I think part of what my passion for whatever reason has been is to partner and collaborate with people. So the challenge with that is those that doesn't always work out. And so when I was still in Ohio, I partnered with a person that I thought really, and I think he's a good man. I think he had a great intent, but it's hard for founders to really transition ownership and control to younger people in particular. So even though we had what I thought was an agreement and we were going to operate a certain way, it was really hard for him to commit to that. And so I think it's wise to get advice from other people that, that are not emotionally attached to say, whether or not I was being irrational or assumptive or greedy, or if it just wasn't going to work, to kind of honor that agreement. And so it turned out that I don't think it was going to work. And I think I tried. Doesn't mean anybody's, necessarily bad, but it just wasn't, that's a common thing it's hard for a lot of business owners to give up and transition, which is why most people are sole proprietors most of their career.
Right.
And so I ultimately had to cut bait and find another opportunity. That was an incredible opportunity. It was only going to work if he was really going to be able to kind of hand off those reins. And that was hard for him to do. So it launched me into this business. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. I'm sure that was another difficult situation to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for sharing that. Jeff, as I say on most every podcast, I hate learning new things, which is not true. I hate learning new useless things. And I always give the example of a new piece of software, might be using the software forever, but, whatever, the company decides to change how it works. But learning new things is part of all of our lives. I'm actually in a season right now where, I'm a CPA and I'm getting my continuing education. And I actually love this season. It's just, time consuming. I love learning new stuff. So how do you go about staying current, and what kinds of things do you do to stay on top of the game?
I've always been involved with coaching and getting coaching. I think that's been really important. I've got a lot of friends that have been in my business for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and they don't do a lot of coaching. And I think that's a mistake. So I've always been a huge believer and we spend a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy in coaching programs. But I think you learn things from that. You iron sharpens iron, which is great, but you also are exposed to new ideas. People can challenge you. So I would encourage, if you haven't been in some type of coaching program and you've been doing something for a while, it probably makes sense. There's some really powerfully effective coaches, different forums, different cohorts. It doesn't matter exactly what it looks like at all times, but I think if we're not a community getting challenged, getting led, getting fed, surely we're missing out on some opportunities for growth.
So clarify, you're getting coached, which I get, but you're also are doing coaching as well?
I guess I do coaching and leading management, but I'd say I'm always paying to get to be in coaching programs. And I've made that commitment for 30 years, and I would encourage people to do that.
I actually started that this year for the first time, and it's been really helpful.
Great.
And I'm a classic solopreneur kind of a thing. And it's like, I don't need a coach. And like, what do you need a coach? And, because our perspectives are not perfect. And it takes that outside person to, who can say, Stewart, stop being stupid. So, that kind of thing. That's great. That's great. All right, let's pivot to the financial world. Of course, this is your business. And again, without any numbers, always interested in how you invest your own cash into what asset classes, and I'm always surprised by the answer. And so, just if you'll talk through that for us, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I bought my first piece of real estate when I was 17, I think, or 18 years old, and my mom and dad and my grandparents were all into real estate, so I've been a big fan of real estate for a long time. But it's also, I've seen it not perform well. It's interesting. We just had a friend sell a condo in Florida that they bought in 2007 for less than they paid for in 2007. So they just sold it recently. So it's interesting. People say, well, oceanfront property doesn't decrease in value. I've got several examples of where that has. So, nothing's guaranteed. Obviously, there's not just these you have to do. Obviously, a lot of people make money in the market. A lot of people make money in real estate. A lot of people make money in business. I think to your point, trying to diversify that is important. We see a lot of folks that have businesses worth money, but they don't have a lot of personal outside assets. They don't have a lot of retirement plans. They don't have, any other diversification. And that seems to be silly because I've seen people in that same situation, but diversify as well. And they've got just a lot more money because they've been disciplined and they've poured into their business, no question, but they've also taken some chips off the table. They've also diversified. They've also taken advantage of 401ks. And so not missing any of those opportunities because the government leverages and gives discounts, through tax benefits if you implement some of these things. So I would just encourage all of us to be diversified and be sure that you're not missing some simple things just because you're all focused on something that you happen to do for a living.
Well, I was just convinced you were going to come in here and sing the praises of crypto, which I've never done and I don't understand it, but sure wish I'd had some last Tuesday, after the election. So, but
there's days where it's dropped by significant amount, and so I think I personally don't get too excited about anything that is on the fringes. You can certainly make a lot of money there, but you can lose a lot of money. So, but most of us, I think it's really smart to be diversified and have various income streams. Have no debt, which is great, but also have a bunch of money in the bank. Also have a bunch of money in the market. Have a bunch of real estate. You just want to try to do it all.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. Thank you for that. So as we're closing out here, Jeff, please share with us one piece of advice, one nugget that you would share with somebody that you're mentoring or just anyone who might want to follow in your footsteps, which would be what you consider the secret to your success in your career thus far.
That's a great question. I think I was thinking about that earlier. I had two questions. We talk a lot about being hungry, humble, and smart, and trying to maintain that, trying to be that. So there's a lot. If we can just do those three things, if we can be really humble to say, I don't know it all, I want to work at it, so help guide me, which is part of that whole coaching thing and just getting fed from different ways. Being hungry, I think there's no shortcuts to success. So I think we need to work really hard. And so one of the that I certainly did was put it all on the line from a work ethic. And I think that's been a key to my success. So I don't know how you can I wish I'd have been a little bit more balanced, as I mentioned, but I don't know how you can be successful without working hard. And then of course, just trying to study and be smart, if we can focus on those things. But I also thought it was interesting. So I had a friend the other day in a little YPO group, make the comment, and I was trying to find the note here, but I scurried it down as soon as he heard it because it really resonated with me, and I think it'll resonate with a lot of your listeners. Is he said he would give up so much if he could go back to his early 20s and find a really good mentor. And so this is a guy probably about 45 or 50 saying, "Man, I wish somebody could have showed me what right looked like." And they would have saved us a lot of bumps and bruises and heartache and wasted efforts and inefficiency, which is trying to figure it out ourselves. So I'm a huge believer in mentorship and the power of collaboration, but also the power in helping others see the fastest way to get there and what right looks like, and just shortening the runway to success. So as a young person, I would say try to find some people that will help really care about you and help mentor you. And even if you have to give up less money, if you have to take a different job where you might not be as sexy, but you're going to have somebody that's really cares about your success and has your best interest at heart, I think you will learn significantly faster and a lot more than if you try to just go do it on your own. That's been my experience. So I would encourage people to seek and enjoy being mentored.
I think that's very well said, Jeff. And as you're saying that, how many times in the last 40 years have I had the same thought? And as I said, I just got my first coach this year. I've had other mentors along the way, but they were not as engaged or they would. It might last a while, but it's such a blessing to have somebody who's invested in you. And your success, and will give you good wisdom and advice. Wisdom is to me, the most sought after thing in the world, whether you're looking for it or not. Yeah, I mean, especially when you're 25, we think we're wise. So,
well, and in today's world, there's so much information. It's like you don't need to get, whether it's in my world or business or you don't need more information, but you just need somebody to say, hey, go do this right now and do it really well. And here's how you do it. And if you do that, you're going to be successful, and come back to me in a week or a month and we'll talk about it. But
it's very difficult to know the next right move.
Yeah.
When there's so much going on out there. Well, again, that's great stuff. Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time out. I know you're a very busy person. And we really appreciate you joining us this afternoon. If any of our listeners would like to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
That'd be great. Have them email me. My email's jeff@sagespring.com. Jeff@sagespring, SAGESPRING.com. Shoot me an email. I'd be glad to help.
Yeah, we will put that in the show notes for anybody who wants to. And if anybody wants to reach out to Jeff, feel free to do it. Maybe you're a coach and you want to coach Jeff, or maybe you want Jeff to coach you. So anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and thank you for taking the time. Come back for our next episode of the Growth, Grace, and Prosperity podcast. Once again, thanks for watching.
Thanks for tuning in to the Growth, Grace, and Prosperity podcast. If you'd like to be a guest, visit growthgraceprosperity.com/guest. We'd love to hear your story.